I'm here with Kia Miller, and we're at the International Yoga Festival in Rishikesh at Parmarth Nikketan. We actually, from where we're sitting, can see the Ganges flowing by, and as you can see, we've got the mountains, the foothills of the Himalayas behind us. It is such an honor and a pleasure to come here and teach and see Kia here every single year.
Likewise, yes.
And yesterday we got to teach a class together with her husband Tommy Rosen and with one of the other teachers, Mohan, and the four of us each taught a 30-minute segment on the Ganges to open the festival.
It was really seamless and just beautiful. One of my highlights, actually, of all of the festivals.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Kia a few questions, and I want to start with something that's a big question. Do you have a message for the world?
Well, you know, with the recent events happening in the political scene in the United States and me now being a United States citizen, what I'm witnessing is a need for all of us to stand up for what we believe in, to stand up for human rights, to stand up for those that don't really have a voice for themselves, and to really start to visibly live the teachings of yoga. So living from a place of united mind, body, spirit. And to me, what that means is living consciously, walking a path where I'm not pointing at other people and making them wrong, but rather I'm finding bridges, I'm finding ways to see another's perspective, but also having the courage to speak out when I see things happening that are not in respect of the earth or in respect of other human beings. I do really feel strongly about that.
Which leads me to, what's one thing that you do every day to maintain?
There's many daily things. I always sit. I have to sit. I have to sit and be silent. I have to sit and do the practice that was given to me. I also love, I have a whole chanting practice. That's almost everyday thing, but if I'm traveling and I have a little less time, then maybe I just listen to it when I'm on the airplane instead of chanting it myself. And then there's the food piece. I feel like that's a daily practice. I'm consistently paying attention to what I'm eating and how that is affecting my body, and just the importance of staying organic and not ingesting those sort of toxic things that are really so detrimental to so many.
Who inspires you?
Well,
What inspires you?
Nature inspires me. Divine inspires me when I'm feeling it, and even when I'm not feeling it, the idea of it, which drops me straight back into it. And for me, coming to places like this is about remembering that subtle connection that exists within all things. Because when I first came to Rishikesh in my early 20s, I fell in love with this place. And every time I come here, they greet you when you come into this ashram, Parmarth ashram. They always say, "Welcome home." And that might sound corny, but it really is like being welcomed home. And my soul feels at home here. And so this inspires me. That's why my husband and I make it now a yearly pilgrimage to come here, because of how impactful it is. Every time I leave, I am exponentially wider, broader, deeper on all levels. It's just this, the expansion of my consciousness and my perception of life is palpable. It's enough to keep drawing me back again and again, even though it's an extraordinarily long journey. And inevitably, somehow, somebody said to me today, is it just because I'm in India that it's so hard? Because this is her first trip here and it's her first few days. And I said, yes, it's just something about if we have the karma to be called here, you can guarantee that you're going to have to burn through some of that. It's almost like it's demanded of us when we come here.
And yet you get here and it's all worth the price.
Oh, it's so worth it.
Right.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
You get out the other side, and then when you leave
Yes.
and you recognize how much lighter you are.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I tried to meditate for 10 years, and it wasn't until here 5 years ago that I had a profound experience of the state of meditation. And so I connect this land to that as well. Yeah, it feels like it's easy to access.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually have to come from a higher perspective. And the practice of yoga, the principles of yoga, if we are practicing them, I think enables us to take a higher perspective and higher ground when we want to stand up and talk about some of the issues.
Since you were just talking about that, coming to a higher place, and since we're sitting along the Ganges, and she's called Ma.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that yogic idea of the Divine Feminine or the Divine Mother?
I see the Divine Mother as the inherent creative force within all things. And it seems to be in the last few hundreds of years that the men have really dominated, the sphere of so much of the creative and leadership roles. And I think if women can actually start to accept that power within themselves, that we can create a more equal balance when it comes to leadership, at least. Because that's what I see right now is just a lack of leaders in the world. For me, that divine feminine is coming into contact with that very sublime, deep, and awesomely powerful part of ourselves. Like that's the divine feminine.
Beautiful. Well said. Beautifully said. I love that. So one of the things we refer to as Mother is the earth.
Yes.
Mother Earth gives us our food. Yeah. And you were mentioning that that's one of the important practices of your day is to eat mindfully.
Yes.
Any suggestions for people?
Well, I think that as women, unfortunately, so many of us are judging ourselves on how we perceive that we look and how we weigh up against other women. And I think that's one of the ways that we lose our power. Maybe one of the key ways that we lose our power when we're comparing ourselves with other women, or when we're trying to fit into a perfect size or a perfect way to be. And therefore we start to eat in controlling ways or out of control ways, right? Either way. And so first thing for me is about just coming into right relationship with your body, to kind of recognize this as a divine vehicle, and then start to refine the foods that you eat, looking at them in terms of what life force, what joy are they bringing to us. And when I say joy, it's not just that immediate joy of the taste buds, because we can refine our taste buds so that subtle things taste really sublime. And so we don't need the sweetest chocolate cake anymore. We just need to eat a mango.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
So starting to find that joy in food where it's not a controlling relationship. And I come from a food issue, so I controlled food in various ways. And so for me, coming to food as this pure form of the earth's nourishment in the purest form that I could consume it has been the most healing process. And food is everything. Whatever we eat is reflected in our emotions and in our thought process. So I think when you start to recognize that, then we can take more responsibility, because I certainly don't want to waste an afternoon in a sugar crash or, in some heavy slumber after inappropriate food. So I would much rather find things that keep my vibration high and keep my energy and my immune system strong.
Beautiful. So it's again about mindfulness.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you're eating.
Yeah. And create a loving relationship with what you're eating.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah.
And there's so much emotionality around food because there's the ways that our parents raised us with food. There's the energy and the emotion around the dinner table or the lunch table. There's the traditional foods that we're expected to eat.
Yeah.
So I've just liked to blow past all of that and just not care what people think and do what I know is good for me and hope that that rubs off on others if they so wish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
good.
Anything else you might like to say or share?
Well, if you already have the consciousness that you're watching this, then wow, I applaud you for tuning into works that are going to help you to evolve your consciousness and evolve your perception of life. And I just say, please keep that up because the world needs you right now. The world needs us all to pull our heads out of feeling guilty, out of feeling blame, out of feeling judged, out of feeling self-pity or whatever the things are that we do that hold us back, and just taking our stand as strong females and being creative in our lives and making a difference. So
Very
to
beautiful.
that. Blessings.
Oh, absolutely. Amen and all that. So you can find her at kiamiller.com,
Yeah.
right? And it's Radiant Yoga?
Radiant Body Yoga.
Radiant
Yeah.
Body Yoga. Thank you.
Thank
Beautiful.
you, Laura.